Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nila Shabillah. My student number is 2010-25008 and I am from English Education 1. So I am from group 4 and my material is achievement, proficiency and progress test. Let's begin. First is achievement test. Achievement test indicates the extent to which an individual has mastered the specific skill or body of information acquired in a formal learning situation. For example, like quiz, midterm, final examination, and others. Second, proficiency test. A proficiency test is devised to measure how much of a language someone has learned. It is not linked to any particular course of instruction, but measures the learner's general level of language mastery. For example is International English Language Testing System or IELTS and TOEFL or Testing of English as a Foreign Language. And the third is progress test or in-course test. Provide information about mastery or difficulty with course material.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Khairunnisyah with student number 2010-2050-04. So in this opportunity, I would like to explain about aptitude test, placement test, objective test, and subjective test. What is aptitude test? A language aptitude test tends to measure a learner aptitude for language learning, be it second or foreign. Thus, it is used to identify those learners who are most likely to succeed. For example, is students' performance in a language, source from the types of language test, page 7. Next is placement test. Placement test is a test to indicate what an individual is capable of doing now or as the result of his cumulative learning experiences, though it may also serve as a basis for predicting future attainment. For example, as you can see here, pre-A1 starters, A1 movers, and A2 flyers tests are the perfect introduction to internationally recognized language assessment for children in primary and lower secondary education. Learners are encouraged to move through 3 levels: pre-A1 starters, A1 movers, and A2 flyers. Page 4, Pick 3, Layman's Test for Young Learners Guide for Teacher. Source from Language Testing, page 7. Next is objective test, a kind of test which doesn't involve any personal judgment from the corrector. Test correctors therefore do not have to give personal opinions on the answers. For example is multiple choice questions and true-false items. Source from an A to Z of second language assessment, How Language Teachers Understand Assessment Concepts, page 31. And the last is subjective test. In subjective test task, readers have to make a judgment when assessing candidates' performance. In spite of the scoring difficulty, they are very useful because they test production, both oral and written. Gonzalez, 1996. For example, oral interview or speaking and compositions. Source from Type of English Language Test, page 21. I think that's all from my explanation, and the next material will be explained by my friend Mutiara Alifah. Time is yours.
Hello, my name is Mutiara Alifah with student ID number 2020-2050-32 from group 4. So in this opportunity, I want to tell you about the criteria for the evaluations of language tests. The question we ask about a test will vary in each case depending on purpose, time, subject, and etc. In general, however, we must ask if a test is valid, reliable, and relevant. The first is validity. Validity in language tests depends on the linguistic contents of the test and on the situation or technique used to test in this content. For example, a test that uses a perfectly valid conversational situations but does not test the elements of the language is not valid. On the other hand, a test that tests the elements of the language but does it by lists or rules or technical names rather than in use in essentially communicative situation is not a valid test either. Okay, the next criteria is reliability. Reliability is necessary for validity because a test with scores which fluctuate very much does not test anything. Reliability, however, is general rather than specific. If the scores on a test are steady, that is reliable, they are reliable regardless of what we test. For example, the tests yield dependable scores in the sense that they will not fluctuate very much, so we may know that the score obtained by a student is pretty close to the score he would obtain if we give the test again. If it does, the test is reliable. And the last criteria is backwash effect or washback. Is the result that a testing practice may have on teaching a particular program or lesson planning. It can be either positive or negative. For example, if standardized tests based on a out-of-date view of language plays a very important decision-making role, teachers and learners likewise will probably decide to pay more attention to how to pass the test rather than how to learn to communicate in L2. If the writing test consists of multiple choice items rather than skills of writing itself, this will be a clear example of negative washback. I think that's all about my explanations. Thank you.